Monday, May 15th, meeting to order, 3 o'clock of the NEPCO Lake District Board of Commissioners meeting. Calling the meeting to order. Are there public comments? And I want to make a comment about the public comments. We cherish and really want as much investment in the parcel owners as possible. So if you have public comments that you want to make, we try to keep them to 2 to 3 minutes long. But things that you think are important that you want us to know about, please feel free to do that. We also know that we're early in this process, so there may be questions that come up in the meeting, and we'll try to recognize those in Robert's Rules of Order fashion as we go through it. So for today, are there anybody that has a comment they would like to make? No, nobody in the room. How about online?
You're working, right? Okay.
Hearing none? Okay, we'll move forward. Item number 3, chairman comments. Last time we met, I talked about us moving from the garage of a startup company into some organizational process that needs more structure and so forth, given that there's a lot to do. I think what you're going to see is a continued effort to put some structure in place, and appreciate that we're in a very unique position. The state statutes really aren't designed to have an initial board be able to potentially even take action on doing things on the lake maintenance as early as prior to the first annual meeting. So we've got a lot of extra work that we're trying to get done. It's going to call for us to continue to think very, very smart and to work fast, and at the same time to open up our ability to have parcel owners take part in some of the effort, to volunteer to help take part in some of the effort as well, because as you can see today, there are a lot of interacting parts, inputs into things that need to be done, etc. And it's a lot of work, I guess, to get all that done. So we're going to be a call out to all the parcel owners that would like to volunteer to help on certain parts of it. Please do so. The next item is to approve today's agenda. Do I hear a motion to approve the agenda for today?
So moved.
Thank you very much. Second by Lyman. Motion by Dave Orcutt. I didn't see the roll call here. I know we have Mr. Zerflu is not here. Should we just make note of that?
Yeah, I have noted.
Thank you very much. Item number 5 is approving the minutes from the April 24th meeting, which is in the packet. I don't believe those on the phone may have access to those, but in any case, board members do. I would entertain a motion to approve the minutes from our last meeting.
Motion to approve. Second, I've got one correction that I've already given to Boz on a name misspelling, so.
Okay, sounds good. Hi, Dave.
Hi.
So moved. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Chair says aye. Opposed, none. The meeting minutes from last meeting has been approved. Item number 6, discussion to obtain shared vision on deliverables, assigned leaves, etc., time frame and so forth. In the packet, there is an updated work groups effort. I purposely didn't call them committees. I didn't know if calling them committees put us into some kind of legal method of having to have those all be announced, etc., etc. But those working groups, all 11 of them, I've talked to the board members that are involved. I'd like to get this out to all the parcel residents and see who would like to help volunteer to support those. And I'll just read them very quickly, what they are, and then we can proceed with either discussion about that.
I talked to him before about possibly going on some time and playing with them.
They should be seeing this.
Okay, Yeah, you can, if you're on, Zoom, you can see, I think somebody's, maybe if you could put yourself, everybody on mute that's online, that would be helpful too. We don't want to disrupt your other conversation and, or confuse, some of us, people here in the room as well. So the, working groups are, the first six are things that by state statute are pretty much required to do. Getting the logistics set up, notification of certain state officials, and groups about our existence. A recording of parcels with the registrar of Wood County and Department of Revenue, etc. A budget that would be drafted for an annual meeting. A aquatic plant management plan is a requirement from the DNR, number 5, because it's been 9+ years since that's been done, and that's scheduled for late this summer. And 6, to conduct the annual meeting. All of those are things that are required to do. They take effort to get them organized and so forth. Good afternoon, Mr. Zerflu. So those are 6. The next 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11 are important things for us because we have opportunities to actually move on some ability to take care of the lake even before the first annual meeting. So 7 is a combination of harvesters readiness in terms of operations and a ton of location and logistical matters. 8 are parcel owner communications. How are we going to make sure that you get monthly updates, everybody, about what's going on and so forth, and also including any special meetings that need to take place, as well as the annual meeting. 9 are agreements by resolution or memoranda of understanding. There are some of those will be discussed today. And grants and donations is one as well. And finally, getting a website set up. We've done some work on that and want to take a look at that as well. That way people can get online and see what's going on as well. We can publish things online in addition to having agendas and so forth be up on the Port Edwards website. So those are the 11 work groups. Is there a motion to approve those as the work groups and the board members' involvement in those?
I guess the intent, question maybe, the intent then we would report out in future meetings. In the format of those, what are we calling them? Work groups?
Work groups. Correct.
Yeah, I think that's great. No questions.
Okay, I'm still looking for Dave Orcott, move to approve those as the work groups. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. Discussion, any further discussion or questions about those work groups? I think the biggest one is how we're going to get the volunteers, and I have drafted a May update to all parcel owners. Hope to get that out in the next 5 days or so, that it would include these work groups and a encouragement to notify us about your interest and availability to help us out with those. Any other discussion? Okay, the motion to approve the 11 work groups. All those in favor of the motion, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Motion carries. Number 7, discussion of the proposed administrative procedures concerning a variety of fundamental logistical kinds of things. And Boz, you want to get us started on that piece?
So in your, on the screen in your packet, you have basically the same memo from last month, adjusted based on some of the critique or new numbers. And I put them in, I think it's the same. I put them in sequence of the actual task with a little synopsis of what we would do to address that task. Most are cut and dry when it comes to mailing address, the video of the meeting, create email or public meeting notices, pretty straightforward. For clarification, after our discussion with the town web, and I included all the town web data in here. So town web is that site, they do a lot of municipal government sites as well as districts. It's a organization that will not only produce, assist in the production of your website, but also, potentially could be the warehouser of, your data products and email services. The problem town web is going through, that's in that document that's in your packet, their current email system, they are divesting themselves with. They're not happy with the service, a lot of critical comments from their customers. So they are changing their email provision. And we're not able to produce a data sheet. So don't refer to that data when it comes to the email. Everything else is good. The website, the setup, that type of stuff. But when it comes to the email, they're gonna provide me a follow on. Bottom line though is with the archiving of data, with them managing the email, it comes to $25 per account per month. That's the new system they're migrating to. So they were able to tell me the cost, but not a lot of specifics on the email. So they're gonna get it to me, but that kind of gives us, at least for when it comes to the email side, a cost that we would have to budget for if we went with them on the email. No change in the website. It's still 600 to set up, 600 to maintain annually. And there's a small fee in there for the, I guess, getting the domain name. So that cost is in there. When I reapproached the county's initial cost was their understanding that they provide email services that also comes with Microsoft Office for accessible, the access with
The
Word.
license for office.
Yes, the licensing, yes. When I asked them, all we need is email, all our folks are, once they get an email, they more than likely have that. I might be speaking out of turn for y'all, but I said, I don't need that cost in there. It went down to a smaller cost for the county to pick up a lot of the server, email, and that type issues. So that's where there's an adjustment you see from last month. I think instead of $250, it went to $150. They basically removed $100 a month from their IT coverage plan when we removed all the Microsoft Office licensing. So that's kind of where we stand on it. Any questions?
Sorry, could you repeat? So the cost per email from the county is $150?
No, they didn't give me a per email. They gave me for all these emails, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 email accounts. Plus the server connectivity is $150 a month.
$150 a month.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
town web is virtually the same.
It's 25 per email account.
Times
Yes.
6.
Yeah.
It's what was
$150 a month.
Yeah.
So it's not a cost issue. Well, it is. I mean, $150 a month seems high personally.
It could be a cost issue, but I think we would have some work we could do with the county. Once we see the utilization, county said they track that. If they see it's truly just issuing an email and very little effort on their part, they can relook at the numbers. The only major point that Town Web did describe to me is your emails through them would not be active until your website is active.
Okay.
So if we have a 2 or 3 month lag between now and the website being created, there are no email transactions through Town Web until that's live. So that's more of a factor in my mind than it is, since the costs are pretty similar, so.
So to summarize, the county would provide the 6 email accounts, $150 per month, and this could be started as soon as.
But it's a day and
Yeah,
a half,
couple days.
yeah.
And the town web would also be $150 for the 6 sites per month. And it would be built into the start of the actual website. And I see on the the information in the packet back here that they estimate it's usually a 2-month process to get the.
They kept harping on it, minimum, no less than 2 months.
Yeah.
But that's also based with us having some dedicated folks helping them shape the website. They are not gonna create a website, turnkey and turn it over to us. There's going to be a lot more of us feeding them.
For sure.
They clean it up and then it comes back, so. Yeah, that's 2 months if we have a good team set up and ready to start that, continue that dialogue.
As some background on this, Boz, Eric and I have probably spent a little hour and a half talking to them previously.
Mhm.
I think on 2 different phone calls. So now there's a lot of districts out there that we could probably pretty easily model content after, but somebody's still gonna have to feed them the content, to your point.
Yeah.
And that's quite a bit of work.
Yeah.
That would be great to get a volunteer from the community to help us with that, by the way, if we move forward with it.
I think the other question I'd have with Town Web is when would they expect their initial payment? Because until we have
Yeah.
the ability to pay anything, that delays that process further.
They will not, yeah, obviously they will not do anything other than signing a contract until the first payment's made,
We're
and then they will
talking-
get.
Minimum 2 months from the time we write the first check. We haven't even gotten approval to get the loan. So that's gonna push this out.
So you're beginning to, again, we're already running into those interlocking kind of things that certain matters need to be worked on and addressed or committed to in order for some of these things to fall into place, and we're gonna see more of that going on. One question I had was, not question or assumption, is the district, the Lake District could still use Town Web as its website, but not use their email service. Is that correct?
Yeah, I mean, the example I gave them, if we field out the emails through the county and let them set up a very similar email address. And we use the county for emails as well as archiving data, as well as archiving products. And then separately, we engage Town Web to do our website. And then 3, 4, 5 months from now, we have an active website that in a point in time, we could migrate and use their emails. And all the county would do, and the county was easy with this, they would just close the accounts, forward them. And until people got used to the new Town Web address, all the existing emails would just migrate over there, and then the county gets out of the business. So there's an easier transition. And to Dave's point, the county doesn't expect any payment until whenever.
Right.
So,
Well, I mean, they know we're trying to get our
Yeah.
feet on the ground here, so.
So that timeline kind of would be post first annual meeting. You could start to think about migrating if you chose to do it that way. Is that correct, Boz? After the first annual meeting?
yeah, I would say we at least stick with the county for at least a 6 to 12 month window.
Okay,
Get established, get running, get our website going. And then until Town Web formalizes their new email, then we just migrate over time. There's no rush to migrate to the emails.
And to be clear, the 6 email addresses, I didn't look at it, but it's the 5 of us and a general mailbox. Right?
Yep, and yeah, and you know, the reality with county, if you added more, I guess to your point, they gave me a bulk number cost. If we added emails, there's no additional cost to the county, just for clarification, yeah. But it was 5 board members and a NEPCO Lake District admin email for just general questions.
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, again, my comment on this one is if somebody would request or challenge records, we're using personal emails now, except for Joe and Boz, you're using their government emails, I think. But the 3 of us would be subject to, we'd have to release our entire personal email.
Right.
So I'm certainly in favor of creating a separate email.
Yes.
I'm not anticipating someone's gonna come and ask for all of my emails, but it would be an ugly day if they did.
Right now, my current email that we're using for purposes of this is my work email, so. Take what a normal person's email account has for data and multiply it by about 100. It's an ugly request. So getting a board member's email is prudent.
Did you think today we're ready to make a motion about emails?
I mean, a comment before we do that. I think if we make a motion, my suggestion is it's contingent on us obtaining funding in 2023. Otherwise, we have no way of paying for this unless Port Edwards or the county, I don't remember who that is gonna give us a loan so we can pay them.
So when it comes to the county IT, the mailing address, the phone number, there would be no charge until January 2024, if that's what you needed.
Oh,
So that's an easy one,
then
because,
we don't need a
yeah. Now, if we vote to move forward on a town website, I can't speak for that.
Right.
That's a $1,200 charge we would have to figure out.
Right.
But if we're ready to make a motion on the administrative stuff, the mailing address, the phone number, how we do recordings of meetings, how we post those meetings, as well as the email accounts, then I think we're good with that. There's no cost until we're ready to pay, able to pay, I should say.
So,
Okay, Chair Gibson had made a motion. Did you want to state what your motion is, sir?
pardon?
Do you want to state what the motion is?
As under item 7, motion to approve the presented plan for administrative action, mail address minutes, agendas, and shared drive.
Great, is there a second?
Second?
Thank you. Discussion. I will say there is real value in getting something done to establish addresses and so forth now. It's holding up me fulfilling an item which is sending notification of our existence and tax exempt status and 503C status as well without that kind of information. So doing something now would be extremely helpful in that regard as well. Do we put that, does it include anything about the cost at this point, or are we good without it? Knowing that,
I thought the cost was $150 a month. Maybe we could clarify that.
Yeah, we could put that, add that to the motion at $150 a month.
is that a friendly amendment there? Any other discussion on the matter?
One minor point. So we're required to post our budget minimally, and it has to be visible to the public, I think.
Mhm.
Can we do that through the county website? Is that shared drive only accessible to us, or is there a place to put
Yeah,
public minutes, et cetera?
the way the drive would work is, and I have an example of the folders, how would they be laid out? We would maintain it, we would manage it, unless you're on this server, you couldn't manipulate it, but if we sent a product out with a link, it would go straight to there.
Okay.
So it's viewable, it's just, you can't have a citizen dial into this entire server and start
I get
searching
it.
on their own.
We don't. want
That's
that.
later, we can do that later, not now.
Yeah. Then I have no other comment. That's perfect.
Any further discussion? Okay, the motion's on the table. All in favor, say aye.
I
Aye, opposed? The motion carries. So we now
Made the
have,
second on that.
excuse me, sir?
I missed who made the second.
Lyman.
So we now have a current web address, phone number that we're using, and we will put together the email addresses and we can notify you all as soon as they're up and available. Is that correct, Bob?
Check, yeah.
Thank you very much. Item number 8, discussion and update on the confirming the parcels to be included in the district.
One point though,
Yeah.
are we tabling the potential motion for town web as just the web designer until a
We're
later
funded.
date?
I think we have to, I would recommend we table that till we're funded,
Agreed.
which could be soon, but
Table till when?
till we're funded. We don't have any funds in 2023. We can't kick them off without funds.
Should be indefinite, right? Table.
We're getting to that one. It could be by the end of the meeting. We might have agreement on a path forward funded
Town web thing.
for funding. We will be discussing a loan and funding for 2023 later in the agenda, Joe. So if we get a
So which
loan,
one was tabled, boss?
This, the second potential motion to approve town web
Okay,
designer,
thank you.
just tape, yeah.
correct.
Yeah, when we, bureaucratically, when we table something, we have to put a hard date on it, so we can't just say until funded. So what I would offer that we table it for a 3-month period, we'll sort it all out and we can come back to it. You can come back to it sooner,
Thank you for
but I
that.
have to have a document date. So we're tabling for 3 months.
Definitely means it can't be brought back.
Thank you for clarifying.
Got
Keep
it.
educating us, Joe.
I'm more than a guy that sat up there for 6 years. I know a few things.
Now you're good for number 8.
There's an additional chair here, sir, if you wanna. Oh,
That's the supreme person's chair, the village clerk, and nobody messes with her.
Nobody sits in that chair.
all right, then, back to the number 8, it's, a discussion about the parcels, where that stands in terms of, validating them through the registrar of deeds, getting them put onto, a updated boundary map if it does need any updates, and, including the legal description of the boundary. So, is that something, Lyman, that you're able to?
I will, but I think
Joe?
somebody brought a map along, so what we did was. As a reminder from our prior meeting, I sent, I keep forgetting her name, the
Tiffany,
register deed,
Ring.
Tiffany Ringer, thank you. Our updated parcels and said, hey, please look for any other updates as parcels are constantly selling and changing and dot, dot, dot. We'd like to add these. Please verify, send back the file. She did. She sent back the file. I sent it to Joe. Joe sent it to the map guy in the county.
To Jason, Grudenberg, he's the plating and zoning guy.
Okay.
Cause that way the mapper works for him, so he took it to the mapper. He was to call me 1 week ago today.
Got it.
And so he was out today and I left him a rather disgruntled voicemail to call me tomorrow.
But
You
there's
don't
a
have to,
map.
you don't have to irritate him. He sent it to me
You from who?
from Jason.
So we.
Well, if I knew you were gonna get involved, I wouldn't even done anything.
Anyhow, it appears we received an updated map. And as we were chatting, I've looked at this map and so this map is dated. Prepared by the Land Information Office, May 15th, so just today. That map, I think, says October of 22 by memory.
October 27th, 22.
And if by eyeballs, putting these two next to each other, I could not find any discrepancies between that map and this map, other than you'll notice there's some more parcels on this map that weren't there previously, as some of this was
Yeah.
divided.
So what he did is confirm the registrar's product with parcel numbers, so now parcel numbers are included on here. And the most current based on her list, so what? And like I said, I just got this 2 hours ago, so what I would like to do. Is a quality control, quality assurance check on some of the locations, just to validate, because there are some. From a municipal level that I see that I question, why are they in the district? And we gotta have that discussion.
At a future meeting, then, are you
Well,
suggesting?
yes, I don't think we need action on this. We just wanted to get the products from the county. We got the products from the county. But there's a few, I mean, I'm looking at one right here. Why? But there's other ones. We gotta have that, and what I would like to do is elevate that to a parcel number, a location. We present it to us all, and we all sit around and say, okay, does this make sense or no sense? Because right now, this is the district. There's no qualms about it. But we're at a point before the registrar says final, that a deletion or potential addition, if we miss any, more so a deletion, has to happen now. So we still have a little time.
So all I'll say is I'm okay with what you said. I just don't understand the action buys. What is the action?
The action now is that the county's provided their final back to us for adjudication, comment, or we're good with it.
And how do we determine if we're good with it?
That this board looks at this and says, I'm fine with those parcels.
I see.
Yeah.
So do we do that outside of the meeting or inside?
I think having this product, because I can send this product digitally, I can make 5 more copies and give them all individually. You guys can do them. I mean, it'll take 30, 40 minutes just to scan and look at the ones that are questionable, I'll say. So but I don't think it needs to be in this meeting.
Could we also? Well, let me rephrase that. What would be the, if any, challenges to also providing that map to parcel owners so they would have a look at it as well?
To be clear, they all should have that version because that version was sent with the petition,
Understood.
right?
It can be a link that they can go look at.
That way would allow, when we have that, and there could be public comment about that, we could include that as part of it as well. And for me personally, I would feel that inclusion would be really, really helpful as opposed to feeling like 5 angry men sat around and decided something if there were any changes. So if we could put that link in, allow all parcel owners to take a look at it. And they could raise any questions and that could be included in the conversation about what's in, what's out at this point, that would be great.
Does it make sense? I know we've got a agenda item coming up to talk about the potential loan. We need to pull together a meeting of the parcel owners to do that. Does it make sense to incorporate that map with that notification? So we'd announce the meeting, have to send that out to all the parcel owners. We can include a copy of the existing map, say, for your review, and then it's all one packet in one mailing.
I'm just going to make a clarification. That's a good suggestion, Dave. I'm not trying to push back. That's the map that the county approved when the resolution to create the Lake District was formed. That specifically referred to in the resolution, right? All we were trying to do is that any changes from October to now were properly updated from that map to this map,
Correct.
right?
So that would need to be clear in the communication when it went out. You know, to Eric's point, it keeps the folks that own the parcels in the loop on what we're doing. You know, we looked at it. This is the update. There's been some divisions of property. This is the new map that we're currently looking at to make sure that everything that's being registered is appropriate.
I'm just saying for us to change the map at this point would be interesting. I'm not sure what would be required for us. If there was a change, somebody objected and say, well, that one shouldn't be in. I'm not sure how we would do that right now. Because that's what was approved. I'm not trying to sound like a bureaucrat, but that's what was approved. And all we're trying to do is to make sure the changes in parcels from October to now, it's still the same because the parcels are very confusing. Anyhow, I'm not trying to distract us. I think it's a great idea to send it out. So please don't misinterpret it.
No.
But it would be, I believe, I'm not sure what we would have to do if we wanted to change the boundary. That's my only comment. I don't think you were suggesting we change it, but if we
No,
got some
I
comment back and somebody says that shouldn't be in, well, it was already decided it wasn't. That's
Right.
just my point.
I think it's making
Yeah.
sure that
And
Is that clear?
don't take what I said that I want to slash and burn some locations. The biggest concern I have with this product here, it's current by parcels by HOAs. It does not display the categories that we are going to carve out by
Correct.
funding.
Correct.
Exempt, non-exempt. That definitely needs to be displayed. That's being very transparent to our citizens.
Okay.
These are, and that's what I want to be able to do is go back and start putting bubbles on all the ones that this board has determined are exempt, different categories of payment.
Yep.
That's what I think we need to do.
Okay, so that sounds good. I like the idea of sending it out and letting them know there'll be a meeting where we'll spend 40 to 45 minutes looking at exempt, non-exempt or whatever. And if you have questions about that, and need clarification on that, you can weigh in on that. And I think that would be reasonable for our, and that's different from saying something's in or out.
Yes.
Right? It's more,
Yep.
it's more the parcels and the identification of the category
Check.
of parcels, is that right?
Mhm.
So the wording, that'll be very interesting to do when we put, when we get the date there. But I'm hearing us coalesce around the idea to allow, to have this be public information, and proactively have that be public information, so that if there are clarification questions, they can be raised. Yeah, Dave.
Are you getting any feedback from these exempt parcels now? Cause the people I've talked to about this program and what costs and stuff are involved. As soon as they hear Pavoshis aren't paying anything and Downtower's not paying anything, we get very irate. Real quick.
That information needs to be updated because there are costs. And there are some resolutions for donations and use of space and so forth in lieu of a payment. So it isn't like it's like somebody's getting a deal that doesn't have something that we're getting in return for that. So
I try to explain some of that, but it just goes right over and.
I think it's gonna be important at our first meeting to explain that to people.
Yes.
It's a great point.
Yeah. We'll hear what some of those resolutions are, some today and some in the next time too. So again, you can see how this is all interdependent here at this point. And the thinking smart about it like we're doing right now, and then being able to move quickly on it will be really helpful in getting things out to parcel owners so that they have an opportunity to understand and provide weigh in. That's really helpful. So. Okay, so where are
Sorry,
we?
could I add one other comment? So I think there's two separate actions related to the map. One is to confirm, are we ready to record it with the Register of Deeds? Which is based on us, I think, individually looking at it. Then there's a separate action that you referred to, Boz, which is equally important. And there's some assumptions that I've made in the budget. I'm just gonna call them assumptions on what's an improved lot, what's an unimproved lot, and what's an exempt one. And that's a whole separate discussion. I don't think that prevents us from recording it with the Register of Deeds,
Not at all.
but that needs to be done before we present the budget. So again, I'm just separating those two. Confirm the boundary, ready to record it with the Register of Deeds, knowing if there's something in here that we don't think should be paying, that's this exempt category of parcel that we previously talked about. And then separate, what is the category of each lot? Is another discussion before the budget is presented, whenever our first annual meeting is, just as a clarification there.
So are we, is there a motion today to approve the updated map
Well, I thought,
as displayed?
I heard Boz say we should look at it and approve it at, we could either do it between meetings if somebody wanted to do it, or we do it in our next meeting. I don't think there's a rush. It is important to get it recorded because it is a fluid thing that keeps changing.
I think we're tabling the approval for the official recorded map. Just needs to happen at the next meeting. Gives us all some time to
Let's
digest
look at it.
the new product, and I'll send it digitally to everyone. Or if you want a hard copy, we'll get more printed also.
My only request, Boz, is send the old one and the new one,
Sure.
right? Because that's the one that was approved and we're
Yep.
just verifying that we've matched that old
Mhm.
one.
Okay, so we're tabling it till the next meeting.
Yeah.
What if the next meeting's, no, never mind. Okay. Fine, let's move on to item number 9, potential bids for 2023 plan to take some action that would potentially allow us to do some lake maintenance this summer.
So on that, I approached 2 local banks. Paper City Savings and Wood Trust Bank. Sometime in the last several weeks, both of them responded. And I'm gonna add, when I approach them, our intent would be to take a loan. With the understanding that we would use that bank for, the funds associated with the Lake District. So whatever our annual funding is, and the checks we write would be associated with that bank. Anyhow, Wood Trust, they both gave us loans pretty quickly. They're both interested in supporting the community. They were both, had heard about the Lake District, so that was all good. The terms are extremely similar between the two banks. So Wood Trust, and I have this documented and can share it. I'm sorry I didn't get it in the packet. Wood Trust offered us a 5.5% loan for 60 months, no closing costs. One annual payment due February 28th of each year. February 28th was picked because we should be funded each year from the property taxes in January. Paper City Savings was 5.15%, $250 closing costs once per year, March 1st. And I couldn't find, I mean, they're pretty simple. Both of them, their loan, them giving us the loan is contingent. I explained chapter 33 to them of the state statutes. They both looked at it and they said the loan's contingent on us obtaining approval of, as required by chapter 33. We are required to have a special meeting of the parcel owners to approve the loan, and both of them say, we'll give you the loan if the parcel owners approve it. A majority, I guess, approve it.
What was Nakusa Port Edwards Bank able to do for us? Anything, or
I couldn't hear your question.
Nakusa Port Edwards Bank, because that's the third bank.
Oh, I don't.
Yeah, my apologies, because I just chatted with Rob Ziegler this morning, 40K, 499, 4.99 interest. One payment a year, you pick the month. It'd be late next year after budget time, and he's looking at it as a simple draw loan. We're just gonna pay the interest until we can get the start paying down principal. And because he's treating it as a dealing like a municipal government, there is a $500, what I guess I'll call closing cost, recording fee and so on. So there is a fee.
And Wood Trust specifically noted they were waiving that, by the way, but it's $500 and somebody could do the math. $500 on 50,000, I think, is 0.1%. And if you divide it by 5 years, it's less than that. It's like 0.02%, I think. Right. 0.2%, I should say. So, I mean, that would say Nakusa Port Edwards is the lowest interest rate with slightly higher closing costs, but I think the slightly lower interest rate more than pays for the closing costs. And I would also say, I believe there's some advantage. Maybe it's the optics to the community of using the Nakusa Port Edwards Bank, but they're all members of the community. I'm not sure
Yeah, they're all well-known banks in the area. It's not a problem with any of them. They all were for 40K,
Sorry, Paper City and Wood Trust was 60K.
60K, okay. All right,
Now, that might tie to an action item later on.
Sure.
Paying back Port Edwards for the repairs to the weed harvesting
got you.
machines. We don't need 2 loans for that.
no, I understand.
I don't think the terms would change if we borrowed a lesser amount. It was, both of them, I think, say up to 60K.
And nor with, I drove Mr. Ziegler down the 40K route. I did not know we were a 60 number, so,
That's okay.
so I don't think, I know he won't have an issue if we ask for 20K more, so.
We believe the same terms. Okay.
I mean, it's a fairly straightforward loan, again, subject to approval of majority of the parcel owners in a special meeting. I mean, I'm about ready to say, I'd make a motion to move forward with Nakusa Port Edwards. But is there any discussion or question or comments before we do that? Anybody have any concerns about that?
I share the optics of it. I agree. I mean, they're all local banks, but. And it is the lowest rate, and doing quick numbers in my head, the $500 is that volume money, interest more than takes care of that.
It is an inch, I guess what we would have to use $500 of the loan proceeds to pay the postage cost.
One of those things,
One of those things, right?
yes.
But so what? I mean, if there's no other questions or comments,
Well, I think there, we have time for discussion after a motion's made and.
Right.
I didn't make a motion, but I was ready to.
Motion has to be made and seconded as
Yeah.
a point of order before the official discussion.
Right.
So are we ready for a motion?
Yes, we're ready.
I'm ready to make a motion to move forward with NEPCO Port Edwards. To obtain a loan for 4.99%, $500 closing cost. We're gonna assume we can go up to 60,000 if needed.
Not 60.
And we may not need to, depending on how we handle the repairs to the weed harvesting equipment. And with the understanding that we would then use, of course, NEPCO Port Edwards for both receiving and paying as our banking institution for writing checks and receiving the funds.
And did you want to add, that this is all dependent upon?
Dependent
the approval of
upon-
the Special meeting.
Dependent upon the majority of our parcel owners approving it at a special meeting. That's a long motion.
It is.
Sorry.
Second, the long motion.
Good luck writing that one down.
I got it. That's why I video it.
So a second and now discussion, I guess, right?
Yeah.
And Joe, we got that right?
Nope, I'm just gonna say, all my years living in my hometown and being on the board and being an employee of Port Edwards. Time and time again, from Mr. Ziegler to Rob, they've been a very good friend, true financial ally.
A proven institution, as you would say, huh?
It's a good motion.
I would be interested if there's any public. I think we've heard us. If there's any public comment.
Yeah, how about in the room? Any thoughts about that, comments about, using the NEPCO Port Edwards Bank, assuming that, it gets approved by, and people at the special meeting?
We've only been here 3 years, so we don't know enough about all the community bank, so. We have our mortgage through Paper City, but it doesn't really matter. You guys are the experts, especially if you've lived here a long time.
That was a dangerous statement, but that's okay. Dave, also in the room?
I'm fine with
Okay. How about people on the phone? What's your reaction to us considering the NEPCO Port Edwards Bank as our bank financial partnership for the lake? Any comments? Going once, twice? Okay, I think we're ready to vote then. All in favor of the long motion that essentially that does partner with NEPCO Port Edwards Bank as our banking institution pending approval of the Lake District getting a loan by the special meeting of parcel owners to be determined in the next 20 minutes. All those in favor of that motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
That chair is aye. Any opposed? The motion carries. Thank you. Discussion, item number 10, a promissory note.
Hold on, there's a motion
Oh, I'm sorry.
for the special meeting before that. Could I comment quick, Eric?
To establish, oh, sorry, yeah, we have to establish a special meeting.
Correct.
So, let's understand, somebody please state what why we're having a special meeting, and the purpose of the special meeting, and then we can talk about when that could occur and what needs to happen before that in order for it to occur.
Could I provide a quick comment? 33.31 for Lake Districts there's a special section that's called Power to Finance. And under that power to finance, it specifically says, at an annual or special meeting, the district may not approve any borrowing incurred unless a meeting notice under section 33.3 is provided, including a statement that borrowing to pay the indebtedness will be considered at the meeting. So it says all it says is we're required to have a special meeting to do borrowing. We could wait till the annual meeting to do it. However, we'll talk shortly. I recommend we do this well in advance of the annual meeting because we will have expenses prior to the annual meeting.
If we waited till the annual meeting, that would preclude any true opportunity to work on the lake this summer. Is that correct?
It would create at least two complications. One is to pay for the lake management plan and the lake aquatic species survey, and two is to begin any weed harvesting operations this summer. I think we could get the machines repaired through Port Edwards prior to that. Well, that's another one coming up on the agenda, I think.
However, if it's not going to be used in 2023, that raises the other question: are we repairing them this year and then storing them for a year? So, in any case, I think the key part is that it doesn't require a special meeting. I'm glad that we can do that so that personal owners are aware and can weigh in on that. What does it take to set up the special meeting?
So that's the notice, sorry, that's 33.3 of the statute. It's the same notice that we had to do for the public hearing and the same notice we do for the annual meeting. It's very clearly defined in terms, I'm looking for 33.3. I have it up in front of me. I'll read it, but it basically says we have to give 14-day notice of the meeting. We don't have to provide a lot of input we don't have to send all the information to be presented at the meeting in advance. We just have to have notice that there's a meeting for the district to consider a loan in 2023. So.
But notice is not individual mailers to all the parcel owners. It's a 2-week notification.
Well, the annual meeting shall be preceded by written notice mailed 14 days in
Annual
advance to all electors. Well,
I got you.
but the loan thing refers to that exact same clause.
No, I hear you. For an annual meeting, if we're doing the loan at the annual meeting, we want to do a special meeting.
It says the same notification requirements are required as at the annual meeting. That's what the statute says. 33.32A is required. So I think it's the same notice, Boz. We could have somebody tell us that. When I read it, it says it's exactly the same requirements.
Okay, so when yeah, we do need I guess a legal clarification of what I would ask for, because when I reached out to the state, who's the state dude? Eric Olson, and we chatted about this. The notification for a special meeting was solely a class 2 notice, which is posted 3 places as well as in the paper. We would have to do a local paper. And there's a notice posted. It could be an email posting to all our parcel owners, and that suffices for a special meeting. Annual meeting is an actual mailer.
But I think, and I'm all in favor of getting a legal opinion, but I agree with Lyman. The fact that we're spending money is more than a special meeting to inform. So I think because we're spending money, go through the extra hoops.
Okay.
I'm trying to find the section as well.
So under special meetings and under power to finance, Boz, they both say it's required in the same manner as 33.32A. 33.3 is the annual meeting and 2A is notice of the annual meeting. And it says 33.32A says written notice mailed 14 days in advance to all electors. And it says it very clearly, both under special meetings and under power to finance.
Right, I'm good with that.
I'm not a lawyer. If we want to go
No.
have somebody read it.
No, but I agree with your interpretation.
We don't have money to buy stamps.
We didn't when we sent out the petitions either.
So that, and if I may, here's the concern I have. And it's not about the notification, trust me, it's not. We're calling, a much needed early meeting to discuss a financial issue. If that's what we're doing, and this is where I clarify with Mr. Olson as well, then why can't we just do the same thing for the 2023 assessment? Instead of a loan. I hate loans. As a municipal guy, I don't like putting that on the burden of all of us. But if we have for 6 months left of the year and could do an assessment for 2023, because not for buying lickies and chewies and stamps and whatnot, but we're doing work this summer. We're fixing weed machines. We're weeding. Why don't we just assess for 2023 based on that meeting? And Olson's reply was, you can't approve a budget at a special meeting. That has to happen at the annual meeting.
Correct.
But he says he hasn't dealt with someone doing the assessment because you're coming in mid-year. He didn't see an issue with it. So I would like to get the thoughts of this board, because I think if you're bringing together the folks, whoever may be here in June, you're bringing them together. Let's give them some options of what we could do. Assess you for 6 months, prorated amount, or take a loan out. That's their choices. And then tell them what we're gonna do with either of those courses of action.
So I'm gonna read the clause on special assessments. Special assessments can be undertaken by the district and levied by the commissioners as an exercise of the police powers in the following manner.
Which section you in, Lyman?
Sorry, 33.32.
Okay.
Upon approval of the plans for any work, either by the annual or special meeting, the commissioners can determine the entire cost to the district of the work to be done. So we can do a special assessment. We still are required to have a special meeting, even to do a special assessment.
Sure.
Right.
That's
No,
what we're doing.
I think what Boz is saying, when we have the special meeting, we lay out option A,
Do it
is
alone.
we option A, we have a loan, or option B, special assessment, we get the input from the property
Yeah.
owners.
Nothing. Yeah.
If y'all don't mind.
Those are both, absolutely, those are both options.
Okay.
A special assessment and a loan.
And we could cover both of those at the special meeting and get input from the,
The only difference to the parcel owners is the entire amount would be due in 2023. And I don't know how soon that has to be paid or how quickly that would get turned over to us from the county or the municipalities. Right, so people would be mailed a special assessment and they would have to pay it. And then following them paying it, the funds would become available. My concern is when would those funds become available to us? If we do the
Sure.
special assessment, I think there's
No, I agree.
probably some risk there in timing.
Yeah, you're not gonna get a big lump check from any of the municipal governments. If this rolls out the way the taxing authority happens, is that a notice would be sent out by your tax collectors for a special assessment. Individual have 30 days from that notice to pay. And then there will be some that won't pay on time and it'll be delayed. So you're probably not gonna receive the bulk of your 2023 money until the July, August, late August timeframe by just doing the assessment. If you do a 2023 prorated assessment, you'll get whatever number we come up with in late August. And I'm not arguing we don't need a loan. Do we need 60K at the first swag? Do we need a much lesser amount that we can get on June 1st to get the ball rolling, do the assessment, and then get the rest of the money we need? I think we just gotta be creative in how we do the financing this
Sure.
first year, so.
We could do both, to be clear.
Yeah,
Yes, yes.
actually, that you could, and assuming there's no penalty for
Prepayment.
early payment,
No,
correct? So that money could be turned over back to to pay the loan. Parts of the loan, before 2024.
but and one last thing, that's my logic. I don't live there, I'm not in the district, But the only way I would be all behind that 110% is that if we as a board could prove to the citizens, we will physically be doing something in June, July, and August. A tangible thing has to happen, not just us sitting here printing papers, and that's what we're using the money
Yeah.
for. That's my only concern if we go down that road.
100% agree.
There you go.
Hence some of the items we have left today to discuss and what needs to be done.
So on that same note, just refresh my memory, Eric, when do we have to have the lake survey done? Completed? I know we're delinquent or we're behind,
This summer,
right?
Yeah.
So that's one of the items that has to happen,
it has to happen for us to do anything in 2024.
right?
We can do work in 2023 based on the old survey.
And what was the cost of that survey?
The new one or the old?
The new one. I just finally got the old
11,200.
$285.
12K.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
That's the survey and the lake management plan, by the way.
right,
That's both.
so that's the number we, plus whatever it takes to set up email. We need,
Just a personal opinion, we are hampered without, we can't do anything without funds except talking per paper, right?
exactly, so I'm just
And if
trying
we
to
can
figure
pay
out.
off the loan early, my personal opinion is we should get the funds in hand. Allows us to begin transactions, and if we decide at a later meeting, we want to do a special assessment and pay off the loan early, which saves 5% of 60 grand, whatever that is, 3 grand a year. It's not a huge number, but it saves us some money. We could do that at a later date. I'm just worried if we only do the special assessment, we're gonna need to pay some bills and we won't have any money. We could do both.
Okay, so where are we then? Let's see if we can summarize where we are here.
Well, I think we need consensus that we want to have a special meeting. Let's agree to that first.
Yeah.
And then the
Yeah.
topics at that special meeting sounds like are gravitating towards, there's two main topics of loan and 2023 assessment.
Okay, does that require two separate motions?
No, well, all we're motioning is that we're doing a special meeting to
Okay.
discuss those topics.
One or both. We can decide.
Is there any other discussion about establishing a special meeting to approve the loan?
I think time is of the essence. If we're going to begin weed harvester operations in 2023, time is of the essence. I'll just add that comment.
I take that as a affirmative about the motion to,
I'm clarifying, if we do it, we should do it as soon as we can.
so is there a motion to do it?
Would like to submit a motion to have a special meeting following the notification requirements of chapter 33 for the purposes of either a loan or a special assessment
Or combination of thereof?
and or both. Thank you.
Second that,
All right, any further discussion? Okay, all in favor of the motion to establish a special meeting to approve a loan and a potential for a special assessment, or one or the other?
we need to establish the date.
Do you want to put the date in there?
How soon could
Well,
that
I
be?
mean,
We
2
have-
weeks is the
Right.
soonest with getting these things printed and mailed is gonna be 31 May, the soonest.
Right.
You
as soon as
could
you
you could push it into June, but I think 31 May is a Wednesday. It's done here. Whoever's physically available is coming. I know we're gonna have a bunch that may just dial in, but then they can't vote, and then we just take it from there.
Okay, and we do have to actually do US mail.
Mailing, 14-day notice by mail.
Yeah.
Okay.
But hopefully that data is ready for print based on what you all did back in last year, right?
Actually, the
Yeah.
last document that Tiffany just updated
As the
would be the
mail.
most recent one.
Okay, so we just gotta hit a print button on mailing labels, it sounds like. We're not having to create mailing labels.
That's super and,
Okay.
I'll figure out the cost of the stamps.
Is 31 May a good day then, or do we want to go into June to give us a buffer? Because right now, it's only, that's like 2 days to get things in the mail. To meet that criteria,
That feels tight to me.
It does.
okay, give it another week. Do it the 7th of June.
Do we do it on the 7th or? I don't care. I'd get somebody else to represent Domtar on the 7th, but Wednesdays for me don't work at all.
No, yeah, I'm not sticking to a Wednesday. The
We could-
second week of June, so,
Do the 6th is a Tuesday? or-
Yep.
6th or the 7th feels safer to me personally.
well, we could just do it on a regular Monday schedule if you all want to do that. We just, but our meeting's gonna be later in the afternoon to meet citizens' needs.
Unless we meet ahead of time and a long day for us.
You're saying?
The 5th or the 12th. Safer on the 12th, that'll give us a good week to get the administration out of the way. If you want to push it, it'll be the 5th, so.
I'm trying to think what our first expense is.
And I didn't know how much effort you guys put into the last mailer, so I mean, my folks just hit a print button and we get water bills out the same day. I don't know if we're at that level with what you have.
I doubt we're quite that good.
Okay,
I'll take that as friendly humor as opposed to.
so 12, let's shoot for 12 June. I want to make sure it's safe and we're doing it right, so.
I don't think we'll have any expenses before then. We shouldn't, again, it's the lake management plan, the aquatic species survey, and anything related to weed harvesting. I guess, that says we won't be starting weed harvesting before June 12th.
No, they don't fix them until the first week of June, so that's fine. We're paying for that, so.
That's fair, then
Yeah.
June 12th feels right.
All right,
But
12
we ought
June.
to be able to get the loan like the following day if we want.
Yeah, no, the loan will be ready for signing that same night if you want.
So do we want to, as far as timing, do we want to hold our normal meeting briefly ahead of time and have the public meeting afterwards?
I think we do our huddle at 4, we're an hour in here, and then we have a 5 o'clock citizen public hearing special meeting. Does that sound good?
So did you decide on the 12th?
12th of June,
Do we come here for
5 o'clock,
4 and then
special meeting.
5 o'clock?
We start at 4, we do this work, and then at 5, we gavel into special meeting.
Here?
I think here, I mean, we can arrange it where I can get more seats if we have more folks coming. And we'll see about anyone that can RSVP to tell me they're physically gonna be here, then we can accommodate. We gotta move to my fire department, we can move to the fire department, we can go someplace, so, yeah. Or even Saratoga, we can go there if we need a big space, so.
And
Okay.
we should allow for at least 20, 30 people to
Okay,
attend.
12 June, 5 PM, special meeting.
Is that a motion?
That's the motion. We
That's
added
the
that.
motion. All those in favor of the motion, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Oppose, nay.
Your
None,
nay?
no comment. Was there a comment on, online?
You nay.
No, I just said, were there nays? And I said no nays.
Okay,
As a action, I think we should prepare a document for that meeting. And I should take this action probably as a treasurer of what are we using those funds for? Because we're gonna want to explain to people why we're borrowing money minimally, and then there's a question, do we want to also offer an option for the special assessment at that meeting? But minimally, we have to say, here's what we're using the money for in 2023. And I'm happy to prepare that. I think that's a simple one page.
If you could draft that, that'd be awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you. Item number 10.
I think, just back to Lyman's comment, if we're gonna offer the 2 options, you've got the special assessment and the loan, we should probably lay out what the cost difference is gonna be in that first year.
Mhm.
So that they can look at the 2, I'm gonna get this special assessment in July of X, where if we take out the loan, it won't show up until January and it will be Y.
I can tell you ballpark right now,
Mhm.
it's $70 per paying parcel owner.
Right.
If we do it over 5 years, it's roughly $300 if we do it all as at once. as a
Right,
special
and I
assessment.
think that helps give some context as to what our thought process might be. Okay, so,
All right, discuss promissory note, and get signature of the promissory note about a loan, are we calling it a loan? What are we calling that?
It's a no interest loan from the village.
Yeah, no
Yes,
interest loan from Port Edwards to pay $22,000 to invest in the repair work and upgrading the work on the harvesters in order to be functional this summer.
So, for more so for the citizens, and it's not in your pack, the physical promissory note's not in, I apologize, I just saw that, but, at the last village board meeting, the village approved the expenditure of up to $22,000 for the repair of the weed machines that are sitting on the side of the lake through Aquarius. They will come in the month of late May, early June to do that repair work. So at the end of that visit, we will have 2 functioning weed machines at the village's expense. And then they'll just be docked on the shoreline until we find the new dock sites. The intent here was at a point in time when the district is ready to receive those items, we would transfer the physical ownership of the 2 weed machines and possibly some other pieces to the district at no cost. But the board of trustees for the village were wanting to get the funding paid back to them for the repair work. And that's where they authorized that. So either way, we're gonna own the weed machines. We're gonna fix the weed machines as a village. And then hopefully the district will be in a position to receive them for operations moving forward, So on that, I guess we would just need an intent by this board that we are supporting the approval of that promissory note. And then that will be bullet number 3 on the special meeting, that we are doing a promissory note for approval by the members. That's kind of how it would play
So
out.
financially, I guess I could add, let's assume, I'm gonna go down 2 roads. Road number 1 is the loan is not approved by the parcel owners at the special meeting we just called on June 12th. In that case, there was, at one point, we had a budget that assumed the weed machine repair costs would be paid in 2024. And that would be a worst case scenario for Port Edwards. So it's not a question of will we have funds, it's more when will we have funds, right? If the loan's approved, we'll have the funding available. We could have the funding available as early as the middle of June. If that's not approved, then worst case, we could pay back Port Edwards in January or February of the following year of
Yeah,
2024.
and did I put a time frame on there? I don't think-
Yeah, the terms would have to be altered a little bit.
And we can do that, we can do that, yeah. And for clarification for y'all here, when the boundary agreement went into place with the developer, the village put $100,000 into an account to deal with NEPCO Lake. This is where this money's coming from. So I'm not gonna tax people, I'm not taxing these folks on this side of the river for those folks. This is a pot of money that we just need to keep, and then we're just gonna get replenished. So we have the flexibility to draw that out if we can't replenish it until 2024, so.
So the other thing I'm hearing is, do we need to go back and amend the motion for the special meeting to include the approval of the promissory note?
I don't think we need that approval.
Oh,
Well, if we're borrowing money, how we choose to spend the money is up to us once we get the $60,000.
right. But
And-
going back to the question you raised, so if the loan doesn't get approved, and yet we've approved the promissory note, so how do we approve the promissory note unless we?
Okay, that's an interesting point.
Well,
I think
and
you are technically correct.
Well, in the description that you said we're gonna lay out, we're asking for a 2023 assessment, or we're asking for a loan. And these are the 2 or 3 things we're gonna do with both of those pots of money.
Right.
I don't think we need to add it into the motion. We just need to add it into the document we send out to the citizens, so.
It has to be clear in the information we send that it includes this promissory note.
Correct.
So the motion would really speak to including it as a item at the special meeting as opposed to signing a document today, is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah.
Then
we don't
we
need a
can,
signature
we
there.
can
We'll amend that.
But we can
Don't need a
amend.
signature. I just need consensus that that's an acceptable action that my board will be happy to say yes.
It's
continue.
not just acceptable, it's highly appreciated.
Yeah.
Because otherwise we couldn't fix the machines,
No
because we
worries.
don't have any funds.
Mm.
Unless Aquarius chooses to do it for nothing, which they're not gonna do.
So I guess what I would ask for is not a motion, just do we have consensus amongst the five? That payback of a promissory note is acceptable. Don't need a
No
motion,
concerns.
just need kind of heads going this way thing, and it's not an issue.
Oh,
All
I see what you're saying.
Fully supported.
right, I'm looking at someone that
Standard and-
rarely does that, but I. need
Highly
to do that.
appreciated.
I didn't, oh, did you see head nods?
I don't see a negative, so I'm gonna take it as a, it's okay.
No, as I did at the village board meeting, being on the
That's true, yes.
district board, I'm abstaining from even discussing this matter.
All right, we're good.
You did
I
do
am an
that.
honest politician. I told the people I'd run for 3 2-year terms as village president, and a buddy of mine said, "Oh my God, an honest politician, you're not gonna run again?" I said, "No. I'm missing out on too many Tuesday night card games now."
That's all I need on that one, on 10.
And just to clarify, you believe that work will be done the beginning of June.
Yes, he gave me a, first week of June, 3 days on site time frame. So yeah, they should be operational by mid-June if he's got to go back and get parts or stuff.
Thank you. Rolling along here, item 11. Setting the first annual meeting of the Lake District. And we had 4 dates that we put out and got some feedback from parcel owners. And what say the parcel owners, boss?
Parcel owners, when we sent a response out, the majority were in the 10 August and 12 August time. That was more than 60%. So 10th was the Thursday, 12th was the Saturday. Between 10 and 12, 10 August was 32%. 12 August was 22%. The rest was a smattering of, either the 17th, 19th, anytime in September, blah, blah, blah. So I'm hearing that there's the majority of the respondents, and there was 22 plus the 40 respondents to that survey. I'm looking at the 10 August, 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock in the evening timeframe. Thursday, 10 August, I'd say 6 PM. Location, we probably pick a bigger spot, probably Saratoga's place might be better.
Maybe we could use the county park building there.
But
I really
yeah.
think there would be an advantage for using that building because it's on the lake.
Yeah, okay, that's a good point.
it's summer.
Yep, that'd be better on site, easier to get to. I'm with you.
Call Parks in the morning.
So, yeah, I mean, 10th and 12th, the 17th had 25%,
You and I are saved, Dave.
but
So I'm hearing that we're moving toward a motion for August 10th.
I think so. I think that's the majority of the folks' feedbacks.
Okay. Do I hear that motion?
Yeah.
Dave Workott moved
Motion for,
to have the
Annual meeting
annual,
on
have the
August
first
10th.
annual meeting on August 10th at 5 PM. Hopefully at the county park.
County Park
NEPCO
building
is
is over.
Park building, yeah.
Right, do you hear a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion, any more discussion? All those in favor of the August 10th, 5 PM at the NEPCO Lake County Park Building, if it's available, signify by saying aye.
All right,
Aye. Opposed? Thank you.
I don't think you really needed a motion on that since you had a survey and the respondents picked it out. I think you could have just. But that's just my problem, not yours.
Okay. Always, I'm always looking for feedback from you, sir.
Yeah. Yeah.
so we'll meet all the noticing, just like we're doing with the special meeting. We'll kick the stuff out. What I would need is, at the next few meetings, what is that sheet that's gonna go out to all the members of our topics? Obviously, we're gonna cover budget, we're gonna cover elections, we're gonna do all sorts of stuff. So we kind of needed to start crafting that document.
Oh, that was one of the committees, I thought, right?
Yes.
Okay.
And I think
I'll wait on
I
that
think I got stuck with that one.
We'll wait on
I
that
think you-
committee
I think you and I did it with hopefully some volunteers.
and,
So by the way, back to the special meetings, we still have to do that same kind of thing of looking at, who's eligible to vote.
Correct.
You know, so there's some work to be done on the logistics of the meeting itself. Okay. Number 12, new business discussion on weed harvesting operations for 2023.
So that is one of the committees, this topic is one of the committees that's formed, and we are intending to meet tomorrow on this subject. We have not met yet, obviously, but I brought a document along. How do I just pass it out? You already saw that one, I think, Boss.
Yeah.
And I want to focus on the bottom part of this document. So there are to be clear, that committee that was created today is responsible for, I'm gonna call it the day-to-day operation of the weed harvesters. Whenever that begins, sometime on or after June 12th, won't be before June 12th, but we won't be funded. However, that's all that committee is responsible for. On the bottom of the page, there are, I think, 7 items there that need to be resolved before we can begin weed harvesting operations. And I'm only bringing this to our attention because I think the purpose of our district is about maintaining the lake, and weed harvesting is very high on the maintaining the lake. And I'll go just through them real quick. We need to finish the acquisition and memorandum of understanding with the Pavlovskis. Let's come back and talk about them after I go through them. We have to repair the machines, which we just talked about. We have to fund it either through a loan or a special assessment, which we just talked about. We have to determine where to park the machines, where to unload the weeds, where to haul the weeds, and a method for transporting the weeds. That is not part of the committee that Boz and Jeff Manor and myself were just, the committee, or it's not committee, sorry, work group that was just created. So I'm reminding us, we cannot begin harvesting weeds until all 7 of those are done at the bottom. It's called dependent open issues on other committees, I guess I could call it, on other working groups. It's just meant for a discussion. And as I said earlier, my opinion is time is of the essence, and I get it, some of those are rather difficult. Actually, all of them are kind of difficult. So we're pushing hard to begin weed harvesting operations this year. I don't remember who's on the location logistics committee, Eric. I think that's you, maybe you and Boz,
Yes, it is.
or is. So 4 of them are owned by that committee.
So you're meeting tomorrow about the,
We will discuss the things on the top half, the short-term open issues in the committee tomorrow.
Yeah.
The items on the bottom, we're not talking about because that committee is not responsible for that.
well, since they're interdependent and their inputs into that, why don't I join you at that meeting and see if we can, move some of those forward,
That's great.
save a
great.
separate meeting and then coalescing those 2 together. Let's try to do it. Boz, what's your take on that?
no, makes sense.
I mean, wheels are in motion on number 2 and 3. I should have numbered those at the bottom there. But, and really, in number 1 is wheels are in motion, and that's probably we'll talk about that here in a moment with our business, I guess, Boz. It's really the other 4 that we just need to, whatever you want to call it, make some decisions and get some commitments. Those are difficult ones, primarily parking the machines. Parking and unloading the machines.
So just for clarification too, that it isn't like we're starting at 0 on that. We just have to execute on many of the options that have been discussed and looked at so far. So it's more a matter of how do we take action on some of the options that we have at this point. So it ought to be more about that and how soon this can be executed.
I hope the logistics committee meets soon as well. Maybe that's my encouragement. in the interest, again, in the time is of the essence coming.
Well, I think what I was saying is we'll have a combined meeting tomorrow.
Okay,
That's soon enough?
that's awesome.
Okay.
Excuse me, I was wondering who's going to be operating these machines?
That is what will be discussed at this working group meeting tomorrow. The intent is we either will get some volunteers, or we will hire employees as was done in the past. Most districts hire people that are weed harvesting machine operators.
Okay, thank you.
Okay,
Thank you. That's, again, I think that is one of the primary purposes of what we're doing. Basil's comment earlier, if we're gonna borrow money or ask for a special assessment, we should do everything we can to begin doing something this summer.
in addition to fulfilling the requirements of the initial board.
Correct.
Thank you. 13, item 13, old business.
Still working, got the numbers from Aquarius on the, equipment. Producing a document from the village to the Pavlovskis. I did send a note, asking, does that include the 2 conveyors? The immediate response was, I'm not sure there's conveyors there. I sent them the pictures. So that's still a floating discussion with the Pavlovskis.
No pun intended. there.
Yes, as part of Aquarius's visit, it will include going to the site, so that if that's part of the package, they will go look and check on the conveyors and get them functioning. That might take a little bit of prep work just based on where they're physically located, dragging them to some place where we can get work on them or accessible. So that's an interim task that the village is taking on.
Thank you.
But that's a simple one, memorandum of acceptance of a donation from the developer. We'll get them under our control. And then we're just gonna wait for the district to be ready to accept them from us. So nothing, I don't see a showstopper until a word comes back of no, those are not included. Then that could be it won't be a showstopper, it'll just be hiccups.
Have to go to option B.
I'll add a comment. Since our last meeting, I happened to connect with one of the former Domtar weed machine operators. Maybe it was even Nakusa paper operators, I'm not sure. It's a senior gentleman who still lives in the community. And there was a long period of time when they harvested weeds, the weed machines would pull up to shore. The machines would just dump the weeds on the shoreline. They would dewater for several days because they're extremely wet and heavy. And then they were rather easy to load once they dried out onto a truck and with a front end loader. So it is possible to harvest weeds without the conveyors. However, we would need a front end loader and still a place to drop them.
Hence my comment about an option B. Right.
I
Yes.
have a question. Is it weekly that it's done normally? Is that the normal plan for the?
Weed harvesting?
Yeah.
Most lakes do it 4 or 5 days a week.
Oh, really? I don't know.
And it grows, I'm told the weeds grow a foot every 2 weeks in the summer. And the weed cutters only cut about a foot or 18 inches off. We come back in 2 weeks and they're back up. Do it all over again.
Will DNR let you have those weeds on shore that long? When we talked, it was only a day, 24 hours, those weeds had to be
I have
gone.
a good question.
Yeah, until we have the plan of where we're gonna position them. DNR has kind of been hands off until we can lay out, this is our drop points and so on. And then I think Scott Provost will get more involved in that type of stuff. So,
And if you got 30 yards of weeds in a pile, they're gonna dry out somewhat. They're gonna de-water somewhat, but they're still gonna be pretty heavy.
but sure, without having a conveyor, no, you're right, yeah.
So,
Yeah, we're gonna figure all that out.
Again, I'm just starting to get my feet wet on the lake management plan. Are there permits required for harvesting?
Yes,
Yes.
Okay, so,
that's part of the harvester operation committee.
okay, I just didn't see it listed on
Yeah, it was, on the top, the last bullet, obtain
Oh,
DNR
there it
permit for weed harvesting.
I scanned right over the top. I
It's like
apologize, Ryman.
$100 less than that probably,
No.
based on the old weed management plan.
I looked right over the top of it.
There, yeah, there's a permit, there's a form online, and I
Yep.
did, email Scott Provost and ask him to, maybe we could get on the phone with a couple people and make sure that we're aligned with what needs to be done and the timeline for that, and let them know where we are in the process as well, so that, we can make sure that we're aligned with DNR on that matter. Great, any other old business?
No, it's all it.
Thank you. Number 14, citizens' comments on agenda items or new topics. So this is an opportunity here. You've been very patiently listening and for about an hour and a half. What comments do you have on agenda items or potential new topics going forward? I'm going to start again in the room here. None? Okay, thank you. Dave?
What's being donated?
Question, yeah, I want to make sure that people heard that. The question was what's being donated?
The only confirmed, no issues whatsoever are the two pieces of equipment, I'll call them, on the North Shore, right by the highway. One is a weed cutter, one is a sweeper, they call it, a lake sweeper. It has some cutting mechanism, but it was meant to be sweeping the Milwaukee River. Those two pieces are being donated, and then the weed cutter with the dolly transporter is being donated to the south side. Those 4 pieces are confirmed. The 2 additional conveyors, one North Shore, one South Shore, are just added to the list right now, and I'm waiting on the acceptance of the developer that he's adding those to the donation. No barges, no trailers, nothing else. Yeah.
So do you have the transport you talked about earlier?
The only transporter is the not street legal wheelbase that you could put both machines on to move them within the district, but they can't go on highways.
With transport as far as
It's just 4 big wheel attachments.
moving weeds on the lake though.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Other than conveyors, the potential addition of 2 conveyors, there's nothing else that we could use for. Technically, that's why I want them to fix the lake sweeper. That could be a dump point. And then that's the boat that takes it to the shore, because that has a conveyor system. So if we don't have a quote barge, we have 2 cutters. They could come to this, at least on the west side, I'll say, they could come to this made up barge, dump it, that guy keeps cutting, and then that other piece of equipment can go to the shore.
Will that go under the bridge?
No, I'm sorry, it's really just for the west side.
Oh, the east
Yeah.
side.
East side, we would, that's future discussion, what we would have to do to make that more effective, efficient, so. But that's the pieces right now, and we'll clean up all that language of the final donation, yeah.
Thank you. How about online comments or points of view about agenda items or new topics?
I have a question, Mr. Chairman.
That's Scott.
Yes, sir.
How are you, Scott?
Good, thank you. I was just wondering if you could add to future agendas, maybe another round of explaining to homeowners the reasons for exempting, the reasons for why all the, apparently, do you know the percent of exempt properties that aren't been sold that you're gonna allow? I understand it's the highest in the state of any lake district.
The percent of that's going to be exempt.
Yes,
Okay, we can get that. I don't know if I have that right at the moment.
okay, that's fine. I just, by talking to other homeowners, there's some real concern on the amount of exemptions, be it the developers and Domtar, and what the Lake District is getting in return for that exemption.
Got it.
Okay, thank you.
Yep, sir. Thank you very much. Good, appreciate the comment. Other comments? Comments
I
from
had a
board?
question. I just wanted to
Sure.
ask about I noticed this winter, we had a lot of trees actually fall into the lake. Especially around my property. And, I've been kind of cutting them up and, hauling them to shore, and they're not even on my property. I just want to kind of clear the lake up. Who's responsible for that? For like property, I don't know if it's an owned property or if it's just, it hasn't been sold yet. But, I just trying to keep the lake clear of all the trees and stuff. And I just was wondering who's responsible for that.
That's a really
Can I
interesting
comment on
question.
Dave, you have a comment about that?
3, 4, 5 years ago, there were 2 treetops floating in the lake. 20 foot to the top, busted off in the middle of winter. I went out with my work pontoon barge, cut them up. I was out there with no more than an hour. Within that hour, I had 2 wardens come up and slap my hand. Do not touch any debris in the lake.
What the?
You are not allowed. Do it again, you will be fined.
Floating trees and.
Floating, I took them out because I thought they're kind of
Yeah.
dangerous for water
They
skiers.
were.
No, leave them alone.
Okay, well.
So then there's no solution to this. I just have to let,
I took down 2 trees last winter that were leaning over real hard, but they landed on the ice, then I pulled them out of there.
Mhm.
Is that legal?
That's legal.
Okay.
But if they're in the water, touching the water, they're not for you to touch.
There are certain issues, just call the DNR and that's the best way to go.
Yeah, when we talk to the DNR, let's bring that up as a item as well, a functional way to address that matter. Because I happen to believe that also is a factor in the quality of the lake as well. There certainly should be some solution to that. So, yeah, thank you, Tony, for bringing that up.
I'm happy to
You're
go
welcome.
to the DNR and ask the question.
Yeah, I'm hoping we get that phone conversation. We can talk about the permit and things like this at one shot. So, yeah, thank you.
yep.
Okay, any comments remaining from the board members?
Yeah, I have one other question.
Yes,
You mentioned a lot of the weed harvesting that would take place on the west side of the lake. So if I'm on the east side and I'm a little further up on an inlet and I want to do any sort of treatment out in front of my property on the weeds, do I need approval from the, I guess, the lake board or the DNR? Or if I want to do any sort of my own work in front of my own property, who would I need to get approval to do something like that? Or would I need approval?
I'm a former lake owner on another lake, and if you want to do anything in the lake except for raking weeds on your shoreline, my personal advice is contact the DNR and ask them what you're allowed to do.
Okay,
It's not up to the lake, that's not us. We don't create the regulations of the lake. We get permits for what we have to do.
There's also
Sure.
restrictions in the various homeowners associations that prohibit any chemical application in the water. And that's driven by protecting the water that Domtar uses for making food grade paper. So there's restrictions by DNR and there's also restrictions by the homeowners associations.
thank you.
I'm gonna bite my tongue on that part. Not because that isn't legitimate, but I think that's been misused in the.
Yes, understood. But
Uh,
moving on, Eric,
Yeah.
moving on.
A good comment, and it's something that I'm sure other people have questions about, so we'll try to get a consolidated answer on that for people too, so that doesn't have to be asked multiple times. In the future, we'll have FAQs on those kinds of things as well. Again, back to the board. Any closing comments by any of you today? Hearing none, I appreciate the effort and the work that was done today. Thank you for those of you in person and online. There were no correspondence that I have received. Has anybody else received correspondence that we need to address?
I happen to think of one item that's out there, Eric, sorry. the fee, the cost for the lake management plan. In the species surveys is above $2,500. We are required to get competitive bids with that,
Okay,
if we're going to issue the order. I believe we could do it by posting in the newspaper. And to comply, I recommend that that's probably an action, doesn't need to be at this meeting. We should add that to a future meeting. But I think we want to comply. If it's over $2,500, we're required to get competitive bids. It doesn't say how you get the competitive or request, sorry, we're required to request competitive.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean we're going to get them.
does anybody know if we called up another person that does that and asked them what they would charge? Does that include, does that serve as a competitive bid?
I think it was-
This is a simple one. I can help with that one. I'll take that one, working with Lyman. I just need to know the scope of work that we sent out to
All right,
the current one. We sent it to the two other DNR sponsored agencies. They give us something, they don't give us something, doesn't matter. We send them.
all right, thank you. So I think we have agenda items for next time. We'll be following up on the action items from today. And motions, and also from what will occur tomorrow morning. In terms of the harvesting and so forth. Without objection, I would like to adjourn the meeting.
Next meeting is 12 June.
Oh, that's
Nothing
right.
before that. Your 29th is a Memorial Day. So no sense to meet next Monday. I don't think we're gonna get enough done between then.
Right.
So if you want to have a week before the special meeting, it's 5 June. Or
Yeah.
just use the 12 June if you need that much time.
I would like to meet on the fifth, if possible. There, again, so many moving parts here. I'd love to be able to check off a bunch of them and know where we stand with a lot of those items, and it still gives us some time before the special meeting to address some of the things that might come up there
I
as
think we
well.
have some you're not gonna be here, right?
On June
5
5th,
June,
yeah, I'll be here.
you'll be here. I'm not gonna be here.
Okay,
Anyone else good?
We only need 3 of us for a quorum.
No, that's it. All right. If you guys are good with 5 June, we'll do 5 June.
at 3 o'clock.
Gotta figure out who's gonna run the fancy.
I'll get an intern in here to do it. No worries.
Oh, Lord.
I don't want to burden you guys with that.
No, he doesn't
Thank
want
you.
anybody to touch his equipment, is what it amounts to. I don't wanna sign a liability thing for that.
Exactly.
Okay, the next meeting will be June 5th at 3 PM.
Yep.
Monday, June 5th. Again, without objection, this meeting's adjourned at 4:42 PM. Thank you very much.